Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, whatever it is for your part of the world. This is the first one we're doing for this week. I did post a video yesterday, which was just a shoot that I did on a lake with some girls sitting on a park bench, which was a beautiful spot using off-camera flash. So you can check that out if you look at the video I posted yesterday. I was really happy with the results of that. The video looks stunning. That was shot with the A6500. Check out the video alone, it's just gorgeous. It's so sharp, that camera, when you're shooting 4K. It was put up in 4K, so you can check that out if you want to. We've got a lot now that are actually starting to come on board, so please give us a thumbs up if you are there. We've got people from Manhattan, New York, Alabama, obviously from Melbourne here. It's early in the morning here. It's 10:30, 10:32 in the morning, so it's pretty early for me. I'll go out for a coffee after this, my usual morning coffee. That's where I do all my networking and everything. Now today I'm going to take you through the belt systems that I use and some of the systems that I use to hold the cameras and also hold bags and stuff that I use. I will be talking about other things that I use later on, but this today is just going to be talking about the camera systems that I use for weddings and portraits. So we're going to go through those because I have three main types that I actually use, so I thought we'd discuss those. Please hello to Susie back there. I've left her for you guys back in the background there. So Susie's checking to make sure that I'm saying the right thing. So she's going to tell me off if I don't say the right thing, so please say hello to Susie. Thumbs up from the USA and Florida. So we got quite a few on already, which is great, guys. Like I said, be gentle with me today. It is my birthday, so please be gentle with me and have a drink for me later on. I'm going to have a drink this evening, so I'm looking forward to that, and we're going out to Chinese. Now, the first one that I want to talk to you about is because I use three different types, and I do use these all the time. So I am changing the holding system that I use depending on what I'm doing, and sometimes I even combine multiple ones together. I am on a lapel today because I'm going to step back, so the audio may be a bit more echoey than normal, but because I'm not using the boom mic that's up above. But I do want to step back, so that's why I'm wearing the lapel. So let me know if it is okay. Hopefully it's all coming through all right. Now, the first one that I want to show you, and I did look at this the other day, was this system by Capture Pro. Now, I don't know how many of you are using this system, but basically it comes in a couple of different parts, and you can see there that there's a slider, this is Arca Swiss, which is what I use anyway. I use Arca Swiss all the time. So I like this system because it fits in with what I'm using. I've moved away from using Manfrotto and I'm totally using Arca Swiss now. So this is the system that I'm actually using. So let me just turn on this other cow it is on. I'm just going to show you the part that I've got down here so you can have a look. And basically, this is the system here. Now I've got this on this belt, which I'll just take off and see if I can show you. It comes off this. Now this doesn't come with this pad on its own. I've actually bought this because I found that when I was wearing this on my belt, it would actually, the camera itself would start to rub if I had a big lens on, like a 70-200. So I'm just going to switch back because I'll show you the part that you get. So that's the actual unit itself, and it clips onto anything. So it can actually clip onto, for instance, if you wanted to, it can go on a shoulder strap on your bag. You can also, and I do that, I'll actually sometimes use my other bags, and I'll strap especially the A6500 because it's nice and light, I'll strap that onto the front of the camera bag as well. And you can also stick it on a belt like that, which is what I've done too sometimes. So you can put it really anywhere, this device. It's actually really, really good. Again, it's sort of coming on probably of a backpack or something like that. And that's a similar system that I use sometimes. So you can sort of see there how it's attached onto the camera itself. And that's sitting on top. You can actually even put it straight on top of a monopod or something like that if you want to use it that way. So it's a very versatile little device. And the other accessory that I bought for it was this one, which is this... it's called the Pad Pro, and that gives you the ability to put it on the side of your waist, and then if you've got a 70-200 or a larger lens on there, the lens isn't actually rubbing on your pants and stuff like that. So it's a really worthwhile thing to grab, is to grab that. Oh, thank you so much. 90 has given me a $10 donation. Happy birthday donation. Thank you so much. So that's the actual pad that's there that I use, and that protects your leg. Now I've got a few of these. I've actually bought 3 of these units because I do have them, as you saw. I have one where it's sitting onto a backpack like that. I also put one often on one side of the belt that I'm wearing, and I obviously do wear it often on the bag like that in that situation. You can even get these for a GoPro as well. So they're really, really handy. Now, these are the, I'm just going to switch back to down here. So these are the adapters that you can buy. Like I said, there are the Swiss ones that you can use. Now, the good thing is too, you can buy smaller ones that actually work for mirrorless cameras, because the problem is with mirrorless cameras, if you use a fairly large Arca Swiss plate or adapter, they're really quite big and they can get in the way. So you can buy the smaller ones, and they're much smaller to fit on the A6 500 cameras. So I use this all the time, and basically, I'll put this one on so it's a bit bigger, you can see it. So all you'll do is you'll just screw this in using the little holder there. And then I'm going to step back now so you'll sort of see how I attach this to the side of me. But just before I do, you can see that there's a lock that stops it coming out. You can also adjust the tension on this too to make it harder or easier to get into your into the device, or to stop it from falling out. So I'll switch back to me and I'll show you how I use this on my belt back here. So what I'm going to do is, all you'll do is basically, now remember, you don't have to have this with this pad, but I like the pad because it stops it from holding with the, if I've got a longer lens, and it just makes it much more comfortable on your waist or on the side. So all you'll do is literally slip it into your belt like that. That's why I like this device, and it just sits basically straight in like this, and then your camera will just drop in like that. I've got to twist it a bit, I haven't tightened this up enough. And it should just go in, which it has, like that. So then you can just walk around, do whatever you need to do. And it's the same thing too, if it's on your strap up here, you just then be able to pull it on or off, and you just hit the red button to take it out of the actual holder. So that's how they work. They're really, really nice and easy to use. Very simple to stick on, stuff like that. But there are some issues, and that's, I mean, you might have even seen then that if I'm trying to work quickly, the problem here is I just haven't tightened this up enough. But sometimes they just don't go in very freely, and that's one of the issues that I've got with this device. Now, it's worked fine then, but sometimes if I'm working very, very quick, I don't really like to have to fool around or things like that to get it to work. I tend to have a bit more luck when it's sitting on there because I'm sort of close to it and I can push it in. But that's one of the only downsides that I can say with this. Sometimes I feel like it's not actually fully going in, and I'm not 100% confident that it's not going to miss and fall out. And that's one of the downsides. Once it's in, it's not going to come out. So that's one thing I can say. They do work really, really well, but I'm never confident when I'm putting it in that it's 100% in. So if I am working very, very fast, like if I'm doing fusion and stuff and I am working really, really quick, well, it can be a bit of a worry sometimes. I've got to double check all the time to make sure it actually is sitting into the actual holder itself. So that's the Peak design. Let me know what you guys use too, because the Capture Pro, sorry. So let me know if you've got that. I'm just looking up there. It said the Capture Pro is surprisingly secure. I use mine. It is. It actually is very, very secure once it's in. Like I said, the only issue for me is that sometimes I'm just not 100% sure it's actually gone in, and that's the issue. If I'm working very, very fast in a wedding, particularly, and I'm rushing around doing stuff, sometimes I have to stop myself to basically be able to make sure it actually physically goes in. So that's the only downside to that. The next one I wanted to show to you is this one, which I'll just go back to the desktop. And which one was it? It is... Oh yeah, we'll look at this one, the Blackrapid. So we'll look at this one. So this is the Blackrapid. Now this is a dual system that I use. You can get these in single systems and you can get them in a dual system as well. But I like the dual system with this because it seems to work really, really well. I used to use this a lot until I bought another system that I'll talk to you about shortly. But it is a really, really good system if you want to have them around your shoulder. You know, and you can sort of see that it holds them in these clips that are underneath. Now this is a newer version than the one that I've got because I've had mine a while, so mine looks a fraction different than this. But you know, it's a very, very good system, and this system to screw into the bottom works well. The only thing what I don't like about this is once it's screwed in, you have to actually unscrew the camera to put it onto a tripod or something like that. So that can be a little bit annoying. And I did have one situation where I didn't tighten it up enough and my camera actually dropped. So it can be a bit of an issue if you're not really careful in how tight you do this up. You know, but they do work really, really well. So I'll show you how this works. I'll just take this other one off there because we'll put it on and you can have a look at how it sort of sits over my shoulder. So this is the system here. And basically there's just two sides, so I'll bring up the right thing, might help. Okay, so this is the system here. You can sort of see it looks basically, there's two arm holes and then the straps come down through the back. If I bring this over like this. Now it's got the center part which is really good to use because basically if you put that on it will stop it from pulling apart either way like this. And then basically all you'll then do is you grab the bottom part and then just screw this into your camera. So that's one camera. And then you grab the second one. Now, like I said, this is really good. You see a lot of wedding photographers using these, actually. An awful lot of wedding photographers. I used to mostly use this too when I had my two Nikons, and I'd run around with a 70-200 on one and a 24-70 on the other. And, you know, they're both hanging like this down, and then, you know, you can grab up whichever one that you basically want. I moved away from this mostly because the weight was starting to hurt my back. Now, I probably would get away with this with the Sonys because they're so much lighter. But the issue for me too sometimes is I find sometimes that when I'm moving around that they're moving and stuff like that. You know, you might get them in the front, and if I bend over they're falling sort of out to the side. There's things like that with this system. And like I said, you do have to be pretty careful too that you really tighten these up. Because like I said, I dropped, my Sony A7R actually fell because I didn't tighten that up enough. I thought it was tight, but whether it's loosened off walking around or something, I'm not sure. But yeah, but that's how that system works. And it is a really good system. Like I said, you'll find there's heaps and heaps of photographers using these belt systems around, and I see them all the time. And they are a great system if you've got the two cameras and you want to stop them from falling off, because the problem is if you just use a single arm one, they can tend to fall off either way. And that can be an issue too. That's why I like this being sort of locked and on both sides, that it doesn't actually come apart. So that's that Blackrapid one that you can get. And that's $149 if you want to get that system. Just let me go up and check some questions, because I'm just going to see if there's any questions. There, Ben's just said, good morning. Morning, Ben. 95 said, not during the wedding because I need to be fast. Oh, they're talking about, yeah, some of the systems. Let me just check some other things if anyone else has said anything. Most people are just saying happy birthday, which is nice of you all. Now, the other system that I like to use as well is this Pixel, what was it? I've got to find where it is. The Spider Holster Pro. So this is my favorite system actually that I use, because I tend to like, the issue is with the ones that go over your shoulder, they tend to hurt your back. Now, like I said, with Sony, it's not such an issue because the Sony cameras tend to be nice and light. So if you're running with them on your shoulder, you're not going to be as bad as what I used to be when I was lugging around my heavy Nikon gear, but it does still get reasonably heavy on your back. Whereas if you start to use this spider holster system, it takes all the weight off you, and it's completely around your waist. And it's more like you're a gunslinger, and it does look like that because it's really, really comfortable. I bought the one that has the two sides, so it's got two cameras on either side, and I'll show you that in a second once we set it up. I'll show you how it works. The other advantage with this is too that this system that is over here, just let me open this up for a second. This system that's over here is very, very good to put your camera in a hurry because it never misses. So you can basically just drop it and drop it in. So unlike the other one where I said sometimes it can feel a little bit hard to get it to feel like it's actually going in, that is rock solid going in. So I've never ever had an issue of feeling like it's not going to go in or that it's going to actually come out. So it does tend to be a much nicer system. But the issue is, and I will talk about this, that sometimes if you put a heavy camera on here, because I've got no hips either, all the weight's coming down and the camera tends to pull it down and it starts to pull my pants down. So I've got another system which I'll talk to you about that gets rid of that. And that is this system that I'm using over here. Is it that one? No, which one is it? It's this one. It's this Pixel Harness Racing. Now this one is actually from Think Tank. So it's actually from a different company, but that's the one that I'm using. So I'm only using the top portion of the belt. It does go down the back too, and I'll show you this. And it clips onto the camera belt that I'm using. So that stops the actual cameras from pulling down, and this has changed everything for me. I was always struggling by trying to pull the thing up all the time, whereas now it's sort of taking a little bit of weight on the shoulders. Most of the weight's on the hips. And this sort of Pixel Harness Racing belt or strap has taken all that weight away from that. So that's what I'm using at the moment. I'm using that Pixel Harness Racing with the Spider Pro. It's the double one though. Let me see if it shows the double one. Yeah, so it's basically like this. So that's the one that I'm actually using. I'll just move me. Oh no, you can see it there. Yeah, so that's the one that I'm using. I would like to try the strap that you're looking at too on the side here, because I think that might be a nice thing to have on your camera as well. That little hand strap that's there too. Get 10% off your next order at the moment. Yeah, so they're the ones that I'm using. So I'll show you now how we set that up, and we'll have a look at that system, how it works. So with this system, they come with these little devices. So I'm just going to switch over to here. So they come with these little devices. So this is the actual holder itself, and they're really good how they work because they use this little Allen key, and the Allen key sits actually inside like that. Now it does tell you that that's got to point towards the lens, so it's giving you a guide about where it's actually going to have to be pointed. And there's lugs for either side too that you can sit on, but depending on whether it's on the right hand side or whether it's on the left hand side. So all you do to install these is take that Allen key out, you turn your camera upside down, and then you face this lens portion out towards the front of the camera, and then basically all you'll do is tighten this up. And I've never ever had one of these that have moved or come off. Now, what I like about this particularly is that you can then, if you want to, like, remember I said with the other device, which was, I was saying you couldn't have the your tripod or your tripod mounts, the Arca Swiss ones on. Well, you can with this one. This was the catch a clip before. You can just screw this in, and then you can actually run that with if you're using tripods as well. And that's usually the way that I'll actually go. So I normally will run this system, the Spider Pro arms on here, and then I'll also run the Arca Swiss as part of that device too. So I can take it off my belt and immediately put it on a tripod or a monopod if I want to. So that's one really, really good thing about this system itself. So what we'll do, I'll just show you how it works on the belt. So this is the belt itself. I'm just going to switch back to me. So this is the belt itself. You can see I also bought these pads that come extra. I'm not sure whether they come with it or not. When I bought it, they didn't. But this, again, gives you that protection from the longer lenses, or, you know, if you're carrying a flash or something like that on the side, it's not rubbing on you all the time. So I've put that on both sides. These little things, I'll talk about these bags in a minute. They're from Think Tank, and I'll talk to you about those and how they work. This is what I often hold a flash or even a bottle of water in there or something like that. But that strap system that I told you about is at the back here. So that's going to hold the belt up. So I'm going to put it on and I'll show you how it works. So basically, I'll be terrible putting these on myself probably. Yeah, so these come over the top, and then the belt will push together at the front. So you can see now it's being held up on the top there, and the belt bits are on the sides here. So now this isn't going to move either way, which is what I love about this. Whereas before, if I'd grabbed my 70-200 camera and basically just stuck that in, it would have moved, eventually it would have pushed that down. So that becomes a big issue when I'm running around, trying to jog around, whatever I'm doing, because I do move very quick when I'm doing a wedding. That would have been a real issue if I didn't have that actual system on. Now I love the way that this works. It doesn't get in the way. I've got my hands totally free. If I bend over, the camera's not sort of coming out the side. There's all things like that too, and it's incredibly easy to pull them out. And they even have a lock on the side as well, so if you did want to lock it in, you can on the side. So these are a fantastic device for getting around very, very quickly. And I've found that doing weddings and portraits, that this is by far the best system that I've used with double cameras particularly, because I'll have one camera on one side and I'll have the other one on the other side. And that's often then too where I'll grab this Peak Design and I'll put the Peak Design here, and I'll carry a third camera, which could be an A6500 and an A6300, and that gives me the ability to do the fusion, because often people will say, how can you lug around so many cameras? The Sony cameras are so light that I can lug around a few of them, and I'll just put one 6300 there, I'll have another one down here, and I'll be carrying a third camera on there with different lenses on each. And that's the system that works so well for me. Just let me take these off. But you can let me know what sort of system you use as well. But I found that this works amazingly well. But like I said, you do definitely need this. If you don't have this, that belt tends to always pull down one way or the other, and it just doesn't hold comfortably enough. Whereas this tends to sit really nice, and it's, you know, it's quite firm on my back. So I love that system. So that's that. So if you have any questions about that as well, let me know. Just let me check up here what people are saying. Into Brown just said, just grow some hips. I know I should. I haven't got any. That's my problem. My wife is always laughing at me because I'm always pulling my pants up. It's really bad. Cool tip, I have both systems, actually all three, and I didn't think of that. Chad said, what is your primary lenses that you use? Well, Chad, my primary lenses I use are the 85 Batis. I will always have on one camera, and on the other camera I'll have the 35 1.4. They're the main two that I'll carry, and on the A6500 I'll usually carry the 24 1.8, and on the A6300 I'll carry the 18 to 105 zoom lens, because that's an amazing zoom lens. So they're the main lenses that I'm carrying around all the time. Like I said, I've moved away a lot from using zooms now. I'm mostly using primes. I'll always have my the 70-200 with me in my bag though, that I'm taking around, and I'll show you bags soon as we go through that side of it. Tomorrow I'm going to just show you some tripods that I use, but then after that we'll probably look at bags. But yeah, I hope that answers your question. Now the next thing that I want to talk to you about too is this device that I use, which is this belt. So let me just switch back over to here. So the other one I use is this. Sometimes if I'm traveling really, really light, but I want to be able to carry a couple of lenses with me or something like that, I will use this Think Tank belt that comes along. And I could use that strap that I just showed you a minute ago. I could attach that harness to it as well if I wanted to. But this belt is basically gives you the ability to add all different attachments to it. And I'll show you some of the attachments that that I run. See, you can put things for your lenses, for your 70-200 lenses, things like that on these belt systems, and they're really, really good. I don't use it that often, but I've got it in case if I am just, say, walking through the bush and I don't want to take the other camera systems, I'll just use this as my belt for the day, and then I can take a water bottle or a couple of water bottles, a couple of lenses, and my camera can be attached to it as well. So that's the other system that I'm using. You can sort of see through that they've got some different belts with zips. These all have waterproofing in them as well. Well, most of them do. And this is a really nice system. So I'll show you what this looks like, just so you can sort of see. So that's this system here, which this is the think tank, and you can sort of see that these bags, when you're looking at them, have different compartments and stuff like that. Underneath this bottom part here, that's where you can make this bag longer, and they also have weather protection inside them as well. So it's a great system for lugging around, you know, if you're worried about the weather and things like that, that, you know, they've got complete weather sealing that's all built inside these holders. They're really amazing how they work, and they can all be extended to make them actually longer as well. And again, it's just a simple belt system that you know, that you just put around, and then everything, and you can move these to where you actually want to put them. You know, and there's another bag I'll show you here. Just let me take this off. This is another bag that sort of comes with it, you know, and if you look inside this one, because these are really modular, that you can put all different things and carry stuff in them all the time. You can have, they've got the silencers, so if you want to be silent, you can actually put these down to make them silent. And again, you know, they have sort of separate compartments that are there. There's separate compartments in the front that you can use. There's also a zip compartment in the front here, so you can carry filters and stuff like that. And they just basically attach by pulling that off there, and then they go over the belt and just lock in. So these are great, and these are bags that I use on that spider holster that I showed you before. They're the bags that I use when I actually went with that system. So the camera bags I stick on the back, I'll always put one on there, say for a water bottle or something like that, or to hold a flash, something like that. So they're the main systems that I tend to use. I'm not sure whether you guys, you should let me know too in the comments down below. Let me know if you do, what you use for your system, whether you like the systems that I've showed you, which one you think you would like to use the most. Like I said, this one by far is my favourite. So if you're talking about the one I'd recommend the most, is definitely for me, it would be the Spider Pro HD. With 2 camera systems on either side. You can also buy one of these for mirrorless too, which is smaller. I've got the larger one, which is for the digital SLR. It's just that I had that from my Nikon days. You can get a smaller one that is, they have smaller attachments for your mirrorless cameras, so you can get a smaller one now. But just make sure if you do that, to consider also using that strap that I showed you, or some other strap, to enable it to stay on a little bit more firmly, if you're like me, if you haven't got decent hips that'll hold it up. I don't like the belt to be too tight. I get uncomfortable if it's too tight. I could really tighten it up and it wouldn't move, but I don't like the belts to be really, really tight. So, you know, that's the issue with me. They'll fall down the second I start walking or something like that. So that's the main system for me. Chad said, what? Primary lenses, yeah, I answered that now. So that's really all I wanted to sort of talk to you about today. Let me know, like I said, what you want to use. Is there any questions, guys, before we finish today? Now, tomorrow I'm going to take you through the tripods that I use. So we'll look at the tripods that I use for weddings. And remember, I'm doing fusion, so I'm doing video as well as stills. So I'll show you the tripods that I'm using for the day. And I have a bigger one for the studio too as well. So I'm going to show you that tomorrow. And we can have a look at all of that together. So let me know what you use. So let me know in the comments down below. And don't forget too, if you want anything covered in this series, because remember, I am going to cover everything eventually as we go through this, from business sides to how to get work and how to advertise, talk about contracts, how my web page is set up, everything. So we can do that. Now these videos are now in a playlist, so you can watch them all together. And I'll add this one onto there as well. So guys, let me know, there's a few watching, so let me know if there's any questions you want to answer before we go. It doesn't have to be about the straps, it can be about anything. So do you have any questions before we go for the day? Otherwise I'm going to go and get my morning coffee. So let's see if anyone has any questions. I had one about the lenses which were there. I'm not sure. Oh, Inda Brown just actually gave me a $10 donation as well. Thanks so much, mate. Guys, too, leave your names so I can mark them down, because like I said, I hate calling you by your YouTube names. So what's your name, Inda Brown? I think you may have said it before, I'm not sure, but please leave your names, guys. If you have got these ones like 95 and all those, let me know your name so I can thank you directly. I'd really appreciate it if you can put your names up. Thank you very much. That'll pay for my coffee this morning. Which will be really, really good. And like I said, leave that, if you don't leave your name in the chat box, leave them down below in your when you put the comments on. Put your names down there too, because I know often it's the same people commenting, and I'd love to be able to answer you and by your name. So please leave your name and let me know what your name is. And apart from that, we'll see you tomorrow for the look over the tripods, and I'll talk to you about which tripods I like to use, and follow the series, obviously. I think that's about all. Tony, thanks Tony, thanks so much for the donation. Thank you, I really appreciate that, mate. That's about it, I think. Well, guys, we might leave that there today, and I'll see you tomorrow for the tripod discussion, and after that I'll take you through my camera bags that I use. I think that'll be the next stage after that. So we've got a few things. Just remember, with business, this is why I'm showing you everything in stages, because I want to show you clearly all the hardware that I've got, that I'm using, that you obviously don't need to buy initially, but it might give you some things to think about, that yes, I'm just going to concentrate on get that to start with, and then I can build up like David and try and get some more gear as I get more money. And that's why I'm sort of showing you everything that I use. Ben will attest to this, because Ben is in the chat now, and he helped me do a fusion video, a wedding not long ago, and he was lugging around some of this gear for me, so he'll attest to that I do use the gear that I'm talking about. Most of the videos you post, are those jobs you are working on? No. I very rarely, Tony, I very rarely ever post anything that's for free. They're nearly always paid shoots. 99% of the stuff that I post online is paid. The girls that were in that are building their portfolio, so there's a number of girls, and I'll talk to you about this when I start going through my business, but they're all building portfolios, so they've all paid for a number of shoots for the year. I'm in a lucky situation that I don't have to do free work for people. I would only do free work if I was really wanting to do something different and it was quick, that someone hadn't paid for. But all the work you see from me is paid work. So I'm not one of those YouTubers that are just going out and saying that all the stuff is easy to get and you can make big money, and they're not actually working at all. They are all paid shoots. My average shoot is $450 for an hour, so and they get 5 images for that. So yeah, like I said, most of 90% of my stuff that you'll see is paid. Carl just said, see you later. Yep, that's about it. All right, guys, well, we'll see you tomorrow. I'm going to go and have a birthday coffee, and enjoy the rest of your evening, guys, and I hope you have a wonderful night and a good night's sleep, and I'll see you tomorrow. I may be a little bit later tomorrow. It might be around about the 12 o'clock Australian time, which is 7 o'clock New York time. So I'll see you then for that one. Hope you enjoyed today. Let me know in the comments down below if you'd like me to discuss anything else, because that always helps when I'm adding things for later on. Bye guys, have a great day. See you later.